1. Last year, we were going to do a big family Thanksgiving on Saturday. My wife and I were going to do the turkey since we have one of those big, easy turkey fryers, and everyone loves how it turns out. Friday night, I made sure everything was ready as it could be for the turkey tomorrow. The fryer was cleaned up and on the back porch. New propane tank hooked up, canopy over it, all because there was a fairly high chance of rain Saturday morning. All good. I went back inside and went to go do something else. Around midnight I head to bed, and while walking through the house I hear a scraping noise coming from the backyard. I put a pair of gym shorts back on and flip on the light in the back to see that the canopy is just gone. Everything else is there, but the canopy has vanished. The wind had picked up from the storm coming in, and after walking outside I see that the canopy is now completely bent up and climbing across the roof of the house, and I panic and run over to try and stop it. I'm jumping, trying to get a hold of one of the legs that hasn't quite made it up the roof. At the same time, I'm trying to knock on our bedroom window hard enough to wake up my wife. She finally hears me and, half asleep, comes out to see me stretched as tall as I can, trying to work this thing loose. I yelled for her to get the stepladder or something so that I can get up higher, to hopefully get this thing off without ripping up the roof on the house. By this point, it's now started raining, and I'm getting soaked. I also can't really see because my glasses are sitting on my desk, and it's dark, so I can't tell what the stupid canopy is stuck on. My wife gets back out with the stepladder, and I'm finally able to get up high enough to lift the wreck of the canopy and unstick it, and what's left falls off the side of the house. I'm soaked. She ran back inside and is watching me from the door, and I realize that the fryer is now sitting there open in the rain. It's basically an open metal barrel now getting rained into, so I yell for her to open up the door on the side of the house so that I can get it all into the garage. I get the ruined canopy out of the way and get the fryer. As I'm carrying it around the house with both my hands, my shorts have started slipping down so that I'm walking slightly bow-legged, trying to keep them up and hold on to this thing. About halfway there, I find that one of my dogs has taken a dump on the sidewalk to the garage by stepping in it with my bare foot. At this point, I'm pissed. I'm soaked, and my shorts are soaked and tangling me up because they've fallen down so far that I'm mooning the backyard at midnight with a foot covered in dog shit. Oh, and I need to go back out in the rain and get the propane tank as well. Eventually I got it all inside and was able to secure the canopy so that it wouldn't blow away again. Other than the ruined tent, everything worked out okay. Cleaned off the dog poop, dried out the fryer, dried out myself, and finally went to bed. The next day we were both laughing about how I looked, shuffling with this thing while pretty much naked into the garage. 2. This happened about 2 years ago, but I found the pictures on my phone tonight. Anyway, I was living in a small college dorm on the edge of some wooded areas at the time. My roommate was moving back home due to severe homesickness, so we were trying to hang out as much as possible. She suggested we geocache near campus, which I readily agreed to. Now it was a balmy January day, so I figured anything I might be allergic to was dormant. Wrong. We spent a good 3 hours traipsing through the woods and streams, only to find really depressing caches, if we found any at all. I was feeling a bit itchy at the end, but figured it was just my reaction to dirt. We went home, I showered, and immediately washed my clothes because it was laundry day anyway. The next day I wake up. There's a small rash on my chest and a very small patch on my cheek. I recognized it. Poison oak. I wasn't happy, but I wasn't concerned. I'd had it once before, and It was just miserably itchy for a few weeks. Plus, I'd showered right away and already washed my clothes. I was fine, right? Wrong again. Over the next couple of days it got worse. On day 3 I woke up at 7 a.m. and was having trouble seeing and just felt really bad. I didn't even look in the mirror before waking my roommate and asking her to drive me to urgent care. Urgent care saw me immediately and said I was lucky my throat hadn't closed up. I received a ketamine shot in my butt and an epinephrine shot in my thigh. I was able to leave after an hour because they had to make sure the epi wasn't causing heart palpitations. I took a nap when we got home because whatever they gave me made me so tired. When I woke up, a few hours later, my face was even worse. After a quick call to the UC, they told me to go to the emergency room. ER staff laughed at me. Then I was given a dose of Benadryl, a script for steroids, and a hot rag. I ended up with a ridiculous $1,500 ER bill because they screwed up my insurance information on intake for a 45-minute visit. My face didn't look 100% normal for 2 months, between being extremely puffy and having skin peel like a terrible sunburn. I walked into the new semester looking like someone beat the hell out of me and was on Benadryl 24/7, so I was fighting constant drowsiness in class. My credit got screwed up because the hospital billed my bill to a wrong address. I didn't know until after I was sent to collections. And now I can't go anywhere woodsy without my friends and family freaking out thinking I'm going to die. 3. Without transition, here I am in high school. I'm in a special department for skiers with an arranged schedule, so we can practice in winter and do more physical training in summer. This Friday afternoon we have a cross-country bike session planned, and I'm really looking forward to it as it's one of my favorite trainings. But I've got lessons first in the morning. My mom is working in the same town where I am studying, and it is small enough for her to drop me by before going to work. I should explain here that there is 2 main entrances in this school. The main gate located at northeast, a second gate at south. A bonus one for our department where are our changing rooms and workshop for equipment, skis, bike, etc. Located at southwest. She drops me at the last one, which is usually open in the morning, so we can leave our stuff and get in class without our bikes on the shoulders and shit. But this very morning the gate is closed. I say to my lovely mom that it's going to be alright and that they're going to open it in a moment, so she can head off to work. I unload my bike, my bags, and watch her driving away. I take a look at my phone and see that it's already 8 a.m. Fuck, I'm late. I'm too fucking late for the gate to be opened. My class is already starting. I'm a really studious student, and very rarely miss classes. Made a priority out of this so I would never baffle the trust of my dear parents. I made a quick thinking and decided to go over to the south gate and jump it since I'm too far from the main entrance. It would take too much time, and too small to climb the one where I'm currently standing. I rush to the gate, throw my bags over the top, lift my bike while standing on top of the low wall that makes the base of the metal grid, to drop it off as well. I swiftly take a look to make sure I haven't forgot anything, and then carefully climb the grid. As I'm climbing up, I'm auto-sarcastically thinking about a saying in alpinism that says, "The descent is always more dangerous than the climb," and have this nose-air-blowing laugh internally. Boy, if only you knew. Next thing I know, the world is upside down. What the? In the moment, I don't quite understand the situation. I'm upside down, back against the grid, but neither my head or my arms are touching the ground. That's right, my calf is skewered in 3 of the metal peaks that sticks out of the top of the grid. Can't say what happened, but a moment later, I'm on the ground. I get up, look at my calf again. There's a huge piece of skin hanging off my leg, completely torn off. I can see my fucking muscle, and I swear it looks just like a skinned rabbit. Storming in my head, probably the fastest my brain has ever been working, sponsored by adrenaline, I decide to rush once more, but this time with a solid reason. to the school life office, where I know I'll get some help. While running, I can feel the blood coming down my ankle and the sock getting soaked. Damn wet socks. Fast forward, I may or may not have insulted students for not helping me on the way. I'm in front of the office, the windows are high, so the women I'm talking to can only see my head. I'm breathing heavily, as a result of the 400 meters sprint I've just run. I need to go to the hospital. And why is that? She answers as if I was trying to skip class. Out of words to explain, my brain decides that images are a much better way of communication. I step back, and I lift my leg so she can see the mess. She nearly broke Renaud Lavilles's highest jump without the need of a pole. They sit me down, call an ambulance, and took sterile compressors to press on my calf to prevent blood loss. One guy is by my side, trying to relax the tension. At least you'll be able to tell people that you have seen your bare calf muscle. And I laugh with him. I'm actually quite good, don't feel any pain. And the only thing in my mind is that I'm going to miss classes, and more importantly, sport. The girl in the back has turned bleach white, and does not seem to feel better than me. They call my mom, who starts panicking. They pass me the phone, and I try to joke about it so she'll worry less. Don't worry, I need a checkup at the hospital anyway, I'm all good, Mom. The ambulance arrived. They gave me morphine on the way to the hospital, which faded real quick during the 5 bloody hours waiting without anything but a raging pain in the whole leg. The adrenaline was gone, and so was the morphine. That's where I learned what real pain is. The surgery went well. Got 25 metal staples to maintain my skin in place so it could heal, plus stitches in the muscle. I had a disgusting photo of it, but I think I deleted it because I wanted to forget about the story. A stupid one, I have to admit. I now use the scar to flirt with girls, but storytelling that I was attacked by a shark while surfing on the waves of a tropical destination. So I've got this for me, which is nice. It just makes me mysterious until I'm forced to tell the real story. 4. About 6 years back, I lived in a dive apartment, my first place. A little 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom with a single kitchen, multi-room. It was fairly cheap and all I could afford. I took in free furniture where I could and didn't turn down a good freebie. After a few months, a neighbor offered me a couch. Hell yeah! It was a sectional couch so big that it took over most of my living space. I never stopped to think why someone would give away such a perfectly good couch. Turns out it was a huge mistake. A few weeks go by with the couch, and being the single guy I was and not owning a real bed but a futon, a real bed was too expensive, I chose to start sleeping on the giant couch. It was so comfortable and swallowed me in all the right places. But shortly after I started sleeping there, I noticed an odd rash on my forearm. My first thought was that the rash was something in the community laundry room I bumped against, or something at work. I was a temp agent at the time, doing whatever job floated my way. I was prone to being a janitor for a week here, a box sorter there. I did all sorts of things and came in contact with a lot of different products. I paid no mind to the rash. I had visited a neighbor a few weeks later, and mentioned the rash only on that arm over dinner, thinking they may have an answer or something to make it go away. My neighbors, who didn't speak the greatest English, laughed and said it was just a chinche and to wash it away. What the fuck is a chinche? I asked them, having never heard of it, and thinking it was a plant or something. They told me to go where I slept, and look there and wash them away. And that it wasn't any problem, so I did. I didn't know what I was looking for. I flipped the cushions over, patted around, vacuumed out crumbs, etc. Found nothing out of the ordinary, and went about my life. A couple days later I run into my neighbor again, who immediately asked about the chinche. I said all I could find were crumbs and a few candy wrappers, and that I don't know what to look for. That's when they mentioned I needed to look in the corners and dark spaces. I did just that later that day. and was horrified. What seemed like hundreds of bugs were in the giant folds of plump, dark brown cushions, at mid-back level, right where my rash arm was always at. There were clusters of them huddled together, with babies and old exoskeletons littered around their sleeve of cushion. Not knowing what they were and having searched the entire couch finding batches hidden throughout, went to Google. Bed bugs. I honestly only knew them from the nighttime saying, "Don't let the bed bugs bite." I didn't know they were a real thing. They're living in my couch and feeding on my body like a buffet every night while I ignorantly lay there for them. They needed to go. I googled how to remove them and seen all sorts of companies tarping homes and gassing entire buildings, heater treatments that ruined homes by seemingly near melting the insides, crazy chemicals and pesticides, the works, all of which I couldn't afford. So I vacuumed the little bastards and sprayed Raid up under the cushions, sleeping on the couch with 2 or 3 bed sheets draped over I picked up at Walmart. I started looking into chemical alternatives at some point, when the vacuum treatments weren't enough, and found that cedar oil is a natural remedy at a fraction of the cost. I jumped at it, and after some reviews settled on cedar oil. I went through a couple bottles fast and ended up buying a gallon. This was the best choice I could have found at the time, since nobody at all seemed to sell bedbug spray. It worked. Although I ended up trashing my couch, blankets, what few pillows I had, and my futon mattress, I was lucky enough to not have much and lost very little when I moved out and in with my girlfriend. She wasn't sure why all my wood furniture smelled like cedar oil, and I had to tell her of my battle with the bugs. 6 years later, I keep the rest of that same gallon in the garage, just in case my son and wife notice anything. I will be ready when or if it happens again. 5. My wife and I pulled a float in my town's Christmas parade today. For the most part, things went pretty well. Nobody fell off, was run over, and we didn't have any mechanical problems. For a few hours I held a smile and repeated the same wave over and over to the thousands of people lining the route. I called out "Merry Christmas" so many times that it stopped being words and just turned into a memorized sound. To entertain myself, I'd occasionally mix it up. "Merry Christmas, film in landscape, not portrait." I might yell with a smile to someone videoing the parade, "Merry Christmas, buy a house." The float was for the realtor group my wife is in. To someone else a few blocks later. And a couple times I threw in a "Merry Mixmas," because if anyone noticed, how could they be sure it wasn't just their hearing? As far as parades go, it was pretty smooth. Afterwards, though, as these things often do, it ran late, and she had an appointment with a client, so I volunteered to drive the float back to where it had been constructed. We swapped keys and she texted me the details. "Here's the address. When you get there, go left," she summarized afterwards. The way she described it, I had the idea that I'd go straight ahead, into a driveway, then take the left fork of a Y. We parted and I trundled off, taking the cargo truck with float, where Google Maps told me. I saw a driveway where I expected, but as I pulled in, I realized I had misunderstood her instructions pretty thoroughly. There was no Y, and as I passed the point of no return, I saw there was an actual separate driveway a few yards west of the one I'd taken. The place where they'd built and staged the float is, I discovered, also an event location. The kind that hosts all kinds of parties and stuff like that. Had I understood the directions better, I could have snuck around the back through the service road that bypasses the main building, but that's not what happened. I took the main driveway and an event was in progress. Also, it wasn't a party or a barn raising or a quinceañera. It was a funeral. Scene. You're grieving with a couple hundred friends and family. It's a solemn affair, as is the custom when the departed is liked. And as a group, you are all sharing your memories and sense of loss in an orchard. The beauty of the surroundings comes with the quiet you can only find away from the city. Uncles, sisters, cousins, friends. This is a chance for everyone to reflect on someone who touched all of your lives and share in the sadness of their passing. Around you, nature reminds you that even when there is loss, life continues. The healing process teaches us that death is an integral part of life, and we must all face it at some point, and sharing the grief helps us recognize how important it is to appreciate the limited time we have to get. You hear a motor. Maybe someone's running late. The engine gets louder, and now you hear some brakes squeaking past something. Somewhere in the back of your mind you understand that this is not a compact sedan but something larger. It isn't until the front of the large truck noses around the corner that you understand that this isn't the late arrival you were expecting. Around you, conversations peter out, and everyone starts looking in the same direction. Formal dark dresses, black suits, children fidgeting with unfamiliar ties. They're all turning to watch because, suddenly, parade float. Back in the cab, I realize that I'm committed. There is no place to turn around. I have to go straight ahead. As I get closer, the crowd slowly parts to let me through, and I know that I do not belong where I am. This is not the plan we had worked out earlier. But I get the idea that stopping to revise would be even worse, so I need to blaze on through. I'm hunting for something in my tiny social skills toolbox to provide guidance, and I've got nothing. As I pull the cheerfully decorated parade float past the silent crowd of mourners, my brain suddenly grabs onto a new The Plan, with the desperation of a drowning man reaching for a rescue buoy, and the parade route program fires up. I'm pulling a float. There's a giant crowd. I feel myself starting to slip into this groove and I fight it. I do manage to stop from parade waving, and in a bit of luck, my windows are rolled up so they probably don't hear me yell, "Merry Christmas!" with the giant fake parade smile. The more I try to stop it, the weirder it gets. Fueled by panic, I can't turn it off. The crowd, they don't look angry. They certainly aren't smiling. They stare back blankly. It's like they're trying to process what they're seeing. This cargo truck, rumbling past them, is covered with sparkling tinsel everywhere, is pulling a long trailer behind with huge toy block-style letters spelling out Realtor. The float is full of Toy Story characters. The T-Rex, Buzz Lightyear, Sheriff Woody, Slinky Dog. They sway slightly against the oversized display presents and candy canes as they pass through the crowd of grieving people. But unlike their driver, they aren't making accidental eye contact with almost everyone in the crowd. Approximately one eternity later, I drive out of the courtyard and join the service road I was originally supposed to take. I can't bear to look in my mirrors, but I can feel 100+ pairs of eyes watching me. A few moments later, I'm out of sight and start breathing again. Ditching the truck and float in the pre-arranged orchard, I head back home in my wife's car. I drove a parade float through a funeral, I texted her. She responded with an embarrassed emoji, one of the little squishy ones. Yeah. So it doesn't sound like I will be driving the float next year. Hey everyone, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to 5 True Embarrassing Stories, episode 23. As always, of course, I'd like to say a big thanks to everyone who allowed me to use their embarrassing experiences in this video. I should have a bonus story going up for you guys tomorrow. think, yeah, it should be tomorrow. That was it's a fictional story written by one of my subscribers. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. It'll go up after tomorrow's regular video. I'm actually running a little late today. Way overslept for the usual reasons I've been having right now. So I'm gonna have to head off and start getting videos together to make sure that I can have content up for the weekend while still clearing the weekend. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.